Hey everybody, Dan here with Pain Free You. Today's topic is going to be, am I doing this recovery thing correctly? And for all the questions I get, that's the underlying question. Am I doing this right? So we'll get to that in a second. As you can see, I'm outside again. It was pretty cool. Mid-afternoon, and as I walked up here, just on the other side of this fence, there was probably about 10 deer. And right before I started shooting, I'm looking and I see them probably about 40 yards that way. So pretty cool to have all this nature around me. So I'm going to enjoy a couple of nice, cool, crisp winter breaths of fresh air. The skies are blue. Not a cloud in the sky. It's gorgeous. Perfectly clear. Love it. Starting to hear some birds on a nice day like this, which is great. There's a small plane flying around, so if you hear that, that's what that is. There's a little airport not that far, so every once in a while we get some small planes flying around, people taking an afternoon cruise. So, let your body relax so that you can breathe, so that your brain realizes, I'm okay because I'm in a relaxed body. So, am I doing this recovery thing correctly? All right. And a core shift is what I'm going to be suggesting here, right? Because perceived danger pain means it's perceived, not actual danger. And TMS, by definition, means you're not broken. There's nothing to fix. That said, what are you recovering from? Yes, you're trying to recover from chronic pain. So I don't think this is a doing or a fixing activity. I think this is a teaching opportunity. And the best way to teach your brain that there's nothing wrong is to think, act, and behave as if there's nothing wrong, nothing to fix. Right? People will ask me, Dan, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And if you've been in the TMS world for a long time, there's a whole bunch of stuff to do, But I think it's more about doing less. Less is more. It's more about knowing than doing, right? It's about that deep insight that, holy crap, there's really nothing wrong with me. So, I think it was Alan Gordon, he posted something about neuroplasticity, and he made a wonderful point, which is that when you are trying to fix the pain, you're actually reinforcing it. And the concept behind that, or below that, is neuroplasticity, right? That would be like me saying, I want to forget how to speak Spanish. So I'm going to do that by speaking Spanish. You're reinforcing it. If I want to learn how to, or unlearn how to play the piano, I wouldn't do that by playing the piano. I would do it by never touching it again. All right? So if you want to teach your brain that these neural circuits that are already in place that have created this persistent or chronic pain or other symptoms too, it's not just about pain. If you want to have them let go, the less you think about it, talk about it, focus on it, and attempt to fix it, the faster these connections will let go. Essentially, what we're trying to do is saying, same as me going, I don't need to know Spanish anymore, so I'm not going to have it be in my mind at all. And before you know it, my brain has used that gray matter in those areas of the brain for other things. So, fixing is reinforcing. The concept of letting go of the need to fix something is really huge. And I had a conversation with somebody in my group coaching, and she was like, yeah, I'm talking to myself all day long and reminding myself that I'm okay and everything else. And I said, well, if you never had any chronic pain, would you be having conversations with yourself that you're okay and there's nothing wrong? Again, sometimes that desire to have the proper self-talk all day long can actually reinforce some of these symptoms. And look, I know I encourage people to say, hey brain, shh, I'm not worried about it, right? And in those cases, it's really to kind of see if we can shift the thinking from, oh my goodness, I'm in so much pain, it'll be this way forever, and shift it to something else. So I believe there's a certain amount of correcting those negative, fearful thoughts. But no, please don't be doing this self-talk and reminding and reassuring yourself 24/7. Because again, fixing is reinforcing this stuff. So it's absolutely more about knowing and knowing deeply versus what do I do? There's not a checklist. Less is more. Let go of the desire to do this recovery process correctly or perfectly or right. Because if you're working on your recovery process, you're likely, especially if you're doing it from a place of fear, you're likely keeping that perceived danger persistent, consistent, and therefore reinforcing the symptoms, as opposed to, I'm not going to think, act, or behave like I'm in trouble, like I'm in danger. And when the brain gets that message, it kind of lets go of those connections, those neuroplastic connections, and the symptoms can cease. So, are you doing it correctly? If you're spending a lot of time each day consciously focused on fixing yourself and focused on proper self-talk and focused on proper calming this and calming that, what would you do on a given day if you felt good and you didn't believe you were requiring fixing? Write out a list. What are those things that you would do? Well, I'd wake up, maybe make a cup of coffee. A little later, get a little breakfast in me. Maybe read a book. Maybe go for a walk. Take the dog for a walk if you got a dog. Maybe go to work without concern over whether or not the drive-in is going to hurt or whether or not the stress of the office is going to hurt. You know, go out to lunch maybe with a couple coworkers, perhaps. I don't know. You get the point, though. Your day should not revolve around the symptoms, right? Because if your day revolves around the symptoms, then inevitably all of that thought about the symptoms and monitoring and measuring and trying to fix them is likely reinforcing them. So isn't it amazing? I've got over 1,400 and some odd videos, a little more than a month. I'll be doing this for 4 years straight. And the core message is, there's not a lot to do here. Just know that you're okay and act like that's already true. I know. It is challenging. I know the symptoms suck. They hurt. They're very distressing. But at the end of the day, the folks who get through this and do the success stories and walk around going, darn it, I'm well, inevitably they say, I finally realized there's nothing to do. I needed to let go of the need to fix myself. I needed to let go of the constant chatter in my head of, I'm broken, what do I do to get rid of it? Right? So these things are super important. And this is really core, fundamental. Knowledge and safety are the two key fundamentals. Knowledge, there's nothing to fix. Safety is think, act, and behave as if you're already okay. And even if the symptoms are kicking your butt that day, do your best not to give a crap. I know that sounds very dismissive and saying, yeah, how can I not give a crap when it affects my life? I can't leave the house. I barely leave the bed, right? But understand that despite the severity of the symptoms, yes, they suck, but they're not harming you. You've made it through every single bad day. I haven't met one person yet who said, my back pain's killing me, and next thing you knew, my torso fell off of my legs, right? This stuff is painful, but it's not harmful. And so as much as you can, remind yourself that despite the severity of the symptoms, you're truly not in danger. It's perceived danger. And so I hope this makes sense. Fix less, live more. Fixing is reinforcing. Let go of the desperate need to end this pain. Somebody asked me today, Dan, I've kind of hit a plateau. I got considerably better, but I've hit a plateau and it's really frustrating me. Let go of the need to overcome that plateau. And if you are mostly better, but that little bit is still hanging on, stop caring when or if you get rid of that last little bit. Go on and continue to focus on your life, engaging in the outside world, not the inner turmoil, but the outside world. The sooner you do that, the sooner your brain goes, oh, I don't need these connections anymore. And you will find them diminishing more, sometimes turning off, maybe coming back. But again, don't let symptoms coming back freak you. All it is just that some danger was perceived and the brain turned it back on a little bit. And if you responded to the symptoms increasing or coming back with a lot of fear and, oh no, I thought I had this beat and now I'm in trouble, this is going to take another 6 years. If you respond with that freak out level, don't be surprised if the symptoms coming back this much turn into this much. How you respond is massively important. And how you show up for yourself every day is massively important. Think, act, and behave like there's nothing wrong, because truly, your brain's working perfectly. So is your nervous system. It's just operating on misinformation and fear. And when you teach and show your brain, when you show and tell your brain, hey, I'm okay, and you show your brain by actually acting like you're okay, the brain gets a message. So, hope this makes sense. Hope everybody's doing well and having a great weekend. And I'm going to wrap this one up. My fingers are getting a little bit chilly out here. Love you guys and gals. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care.